If the 35, progress and change, are in your conscious core essence or your personality sun, you will either have consciousness, experience, or separation as one of your incarnation cross or your purpose. So when we take a look at the 35, it is it's kind of like a comma. It's under enormous pressure to manifest desire. So it carries all of the experiential pressure that is in humanity. We've already seen that the very first job of the program in genetically structuring the whole is to get us caught up in the plane of desire, because that's really what the human experiential way does. It moves us from this desire to this progress. So it's needing to go after those experiences, needing to get more. We need to go out into the next valley. We need this, we need that, we need this, we need that. And in order to be civilized, there's a point of restraint that you have to have. So the 35's voice says, I've been there, done that. It's part of what it says. And there's like this comma, what else can I do? So these are human beings who are lost in one of the most volatile systems, even with clarity, because the emotional system that the 35 is pointing towards, that emotional system is always in movement. And at this point, there's very little awareness that happens in that emotional intelligence or the solar plexus. So even in clarity and education and understanding of their design, don't think that it is easy piece of business to deal with, because desire and that need for progress is happening. So that emotional digestion is changing the cells over 7 years, and that you can have an emotional problem right up until the last cell, because that's the emotional system. So we have an experience, and this is what takes place. When we have an experience, and good, bad, right, or wrong, the trauma can be in there for a minimum of 7 years. And remember what our mind can do. This is consciousness. Our mind can remind us of this, can be in confusion and can be in doubt. So these people can be, deeply rooted and succumb to the mental pressures that are here as well. So the potential to either to succumb to desire or not. That's the comma here at the 35. The real voice of the 35 can say, I feel, and usually I feel like a change. It doesn't mean I need to change now. And now we're looking at the quarter of civilization. So it's all about progress after all. It is the 35 that does all of that and brings us all for the experiences we need. From a therapeutic point of view, you can stand back and say, geez, these guys, right angle cross of consciousness, what we have to do is calm them down and get them to see that they don't have to jump at all of this stuff. So what's important here, if you come in on this right angle cross, is to know that experience is going to be a big part of your role, a big part of your purpose. And that doubt and that confusion and that 5 that has that timing and flow and fixed rhythm to it, it's important that we utilize all of this and that you stand in that progress. Now, always decision-making strategy will tell you what the correct progress is. Now we're looking at a collective gate here. So the collective gate blames other people a lot of time when the experience, the expectation of the experience wasn't upheld. So this is about just being in the consciousness field, just being in an experience for an experience, and then finding your own fixed rhythm in all of that. And when you can demonstrate that, then all of a sudden humanity can accept a change. They can accept a new experience. And then when we look at the juxtaposition of experience, what we have here is that we have this assumption that progress is limited or limitless, But in fact, it is actually very narrow. So all we are getting is more information, and we are getting a lot more information. So the nature of the progress is this movement. We've got to keep building. We've got to keep growing. We've got to keep making. We've got to keep manifesting. And of course, all the doubts and the questions that come out of that. These are the great solo experiential beings who say, I have to see what it is like to walk across Europe. And off they go. They are the ones who are very, very fixed in their very specialized experience. Of course, with expectation comes enormous disappointment, but we are all designed to try all kinds of different things. So if you have a child that carries this kind of cross or has the 35 in their profile, only by educating them that their type and their authority are assuring that going to get the experience that that is correct for them and correct for all of us in that sense. Otherwise, they can end up suffering terribly from that. So if you came in on this juxtaposition of experience or the right angle cross of consciousness, your type, strategy, and authority, that's what allows you to know what experience you are designed for. What experience is going to bring you to a realization? What experience should you be putting your attention towards? So when we look at the left angle cross of separation, this is the abstract theme, and it's the stream of being collective. It's rooted in sharing. So when you're looking at this theme expresses itself sexually as desire. And it will express itself and say, I'm unhappy because of you. It looks towards the other because it is collective. So one of the things about the left angle cross of separation, this is about the aftermath of experience. In other words, that experience in and of itself is not a bond. Experience in and of itself leads to crisis, and in the end leads to separation. There is something else much more significant in that. So the larger the groupings of humans became, the more it became necessary to be able to live in a society in which you didn't know everyone. Remember when we were in the tribe? The tribe, you knew everyone. And then we grew into societies where you don't know everyone. And a stranger can be a threat. So the dynamic theme of grace is underneath all of this through the design sun being in the 22nd gate. It is only out of this grace that it is possible to be able to make room for all kinds of experiences and different kinds of beings, as well as the ability to work with them having to have a personal or tribal relationship. Otherwise, it's not possible to bring those forces together because there simply would be too much animosity. We have to have a genetic trait in us that allows us to put up with something different. So through that separation, rather than waiting for a controlled experience, more experiences are possible in greater and greater diversity until you get to that point where we are today, in which everyone who has 5 minutes of fame writes their biography, but by the time they're 12. So I love it when Ross speaks. He's so funny in some of his stuff. Separation. This is about having separated experiences and knowing that your experience is designed so that you're having something separate from someone else. So when I look at how do we build wealth here, this is one of the massive pieces that I'm bringing to the purpose-driven wealth formula to this group of beings is let's repackage your experiences because they're separate from everybody else. Let's repackage them and then allow people to come to you based off of your knowledge that's within you. And that knowledge came from the frequency of your human design and the experiences that you've had. So what I see here is a lot about repurposing and repackaging experience, sharing it with people, speaking it out, talking to people about it so that everybody gets to learn. The diversity of it permeates our culture. All right, have fun with that, and we'll chat in the coaching calls.